Well, hey everybody, it's Chris DeFurio with Keys to the Shop, and welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by La Marzocco, and they've been making espresso machines there in Florence, Italy, by hand since 1927. So that's almost 100 years of innovation, beauty, dependability, just the kind of machine that a coffee shop needs to actually be consistent in their product. Quality and consistency comes from being able to count on the tools that you use to bring about great espresso and great espresso drinks. So go to LaMarzoccoUSA.com, check out what they have to offer. Highly technologically advanced machines down to very simple, mechanical, stripped down simple machines like the Linea Classic, but all of them are designed to last a lifetime. So check out their email also, info@LaMarzoccoUSA.com, and their salespeople will help you choose the right machine for your cafe. So now, our friends over at Rattleware are another sponsor today at rattleware.com. So it's a thing about smallwares where, you just have to count on the fact that they're there and they work. Sometimes that's not true. With Rattleware, though, it is, and they make it that way on purpose. They have functional, simple smallwares for the cafe that needs something that just works so that they can work. So that means pitchers, knockboxes, whisks, shot glasses, etc. These are the types of little things that make a big difference. So check out rattleware.com for your smallwares. Okay, so today we're going to talk about making leadership a real process. And this is something that I've been doing with my clients, especially recently. I've got a client who's got a manager who's going to be taking on general management. And we're talking about what it looks like to take on a new role, expand into an oversight role of manager, so managing managers. And that requires us to dive deep into the nitty-gritty of the daily operations and say, what does it look like to do a good job as a manager and a leader? What kind of things in the job description are you telling people to do? And have you given them the tools to do it, the directives, the resources, clarity to do it? The answer most of the time is not as much as we need to in order to bring about a good result. And the good result is initially what the cafe benefits from that leadership's work, what the customers benefit from that leadership's work, the staff, and what the leader themselves benefits, which is mostly this feeling of fulfillment, this feeling of accomplishment. Like, I know that I have actually done a good job managing and leading, because what it looks like to do this work is XYZ. I talked with my boss about this. They know the work I'm doing. I know what done looks like in this work. We have kind of a framework for how we go about things like one-on-ones with my managers or one-on-ones with my staff. What's included in those meetings? We have a framework for what it looks like to have customer service recovery and a workflow for instituting solutions that come up from conversations with baristas about maybe there's a better workflow, but there's sort of like a game plan for how to introduce new things to the cafe. And I know as a manager and a leader, that's a tool, that's a clarity tool that I have now to execute on one of the bullet points of my job description. So common bullet points for job descriptions are things like, the schedule and inventory and ordering, ensuring customer satisfaction, doing things like reconciling tips and reconciling the hours that baristas are working. You want to do things also like a training and onboarding and maybe hiring. But every time you have an imperative like that, you need to have a follow-up of what does that look like for your business? You cannot give them the idea that it's up to them when it's not up to them. Just do what you feel is right. This is a Bruce Tulgan type of thing where he says, we like to give people the impression that they're empowered to do things, but then when they do it wrong, we take that back and we say, well, actually, you're not. So it's not up to them. It's up to them to utilize tools that we give them and instructions and maybe things we work on in creating with them in situations where it's called for. So an artist doesn't necessarily make their own paint. There is a limitation and a certain kind of a constraint that the artist has, which is what the paper can do, what the paint can do, what the brush can do. They can choose any brush. They can choose the paint. They can choose the canvas. And they are going to do so because they've been provided with those things. You're the one who is providing your managers with tools, with leadership, with tools to do the work. Now we have to know what that work is. Now in a coffee shop, the menu is the thing that we're painting. That's what we're painting. And there is a way to paint that menu. The way the shift works and how we make the drinks, that is the process of the painting. So we are kind of telling people what to do and how to do it. But the difference is in a cafe, every day it looks slightly different. Sometimes a barista will call off because they're sick or there's an emergency. Somebody will do a no call, no show. Sometimes they come in and they're not in a good mood. Or other times, it's just a very busy day and there was unexpected breakage of plates or cups or machines. And there's all sorts of different kind of problem-solving issues that come up in the midst of a leader's life. And one of the things that they rely on is knowing that they have a assembly of tools, a set of tools that they can select to solve those problems. So making leadership a real process starts with creating a clarity or a benchmark for what good looks like in the imperatives and the directives you have in your job description. That's the rubric by which you judge their work. In addition to that, you hopefully have a set of operational values that are integral to your business. These are like values of character and behavior. Those are also, along with the job description, things that you can review their performance with and see, they might be getting the schedule done the correct way, but they might be doing it in such a way that they're like muttering under their breath while they're on shift and the baristas around them are wondering what's wrong. Like that, it might be a violation of a kind of value, or it's really not cool. And we have to deal with that, right? But the real process in all of this is not just about making it clear to people, but having a regular check-in and a feedback loop and a mechanism for feedback in the form of one-on-ones and having manager landscapes, in other words, a document or a place where you record the good and the challenging of the person's progress and areas that need work progressively, and you record performance over time, and you invest your own personal energy and effort to stay up to date and be a coach to that person's development as a leader on a weekly basis. And sometimes on a monthly basis, you can do this with bigger things. Today, I was talking to a client, that one I was talking about earlier, and how the P&L is going to be something that's not a weekly review with the general manager. It's more of a monthly thing. So we found a place on the schedule for that. And that's another thing I really want you to pay attention to, is that unless it's put on a schedule and you've carved out real time and energy, and you will discipline yourself to focus on following through, it is not a real process. It is just an aspiration. And we get so frustrated sometimes because people aren't catching the vision, but we actually are supposed to be crafting the actualization or the realization of that vision in the minutia, in the daily operations, on the schedule, working face-to-face, side by side with our leaders, and making that a real process that translates to real action every single day. So the real message here is, unless this finds a way on your schedule that you have for your own time as an owner to support your manager who has their own schedule for executing on their job descriptions, which you have defined for them, looks like this. This is what good looks like with scheduling, with inventory, with one-on-ones, with upholding team culture, with hiring and training. Unless we do those things, again, we're not really making leadership a real process. We're kind of just talking. And if that doesn't translate to action in the parts of the business that count, then it doesn't actually benefit the business at all. And so that's what I want to leave you with right now, is make leadership a real part of your business, and it will grow. You will grow with them, and they will become more resilient, more capable. And over time, the consistent application of your planned presence and clear communication and resourcing through that clarity and the tools necessary and the frameworks, working with them to do those things, that's going to produce way more effectiveness in the business performance. Like the KPIs of your business are going to be way healthier when you have a healthier team. When you increase in these things with clarity across all of the different facets of your business, and you go deeper into these things, you're going to find money that you didn't know was available to you. Like the profitability of your business will probably go up. Better engagement for the baristas to staff, and being able to build confidence in your managers to handle issues that are interpersonal between staff. That's really hard. That has to be a real process too, that you work with them to establish and practice. You're not going to get this right 100%, but you have to discipline yourself and apprentice yourself to apply every single week effort, focus. Over time, the aggregation of marginal gains, you're going to be in a much better place. Read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Talks about this 1% better every day thing. We're making marginal gains, but it is about becoming the kind of leaders that grow, not trying to grow as leaders simply with words, but make it a real process in your cafe. 1 year from now, you're going to look completely different. It's going to look better. You're going to feel better. Just going to make the coffee better. So that's all I have to share with you today. I hope that was helpful. And if you ever need coaching or consulting, you want to work on stuff like this, you can always hit me up. It's chris@keystotheshop.com. And otherwise, follow the link to different episodes in the show notes that are related to this episode. I'm really excited because we just, on the recording of this episode today, had a meet and greet meeting. We do these right before we get into the big meeting that we have with our key holder coaching groups. So our 5th season of the key holder coaching groups just launched. Super exciting because we get to know everybody. It's like the Brady Bunch. We're all like looking at each other on the screen and getting to know our backstory and where we come from, what our goals are in coffee, and how each of the owners is talking about what their goals are for this group, and then where they are as a business. And as we go into the next meeting, we're going to get to have the hot seats for the first time. And that's really where things start to get personal, practical, and vulnerable. And that makes real change. And that there's an accountability there too that's really exciting. So I'm in a pretty good mood. It's because of our key holder coaching groups. It's always a joy. And if you're ever interested in joining our key holder coaching groups, the fall is when we're going to launch another one. So you might want to get your interest in there early for that. That's all I have for you, everybody. So thanks very much. And I will see you here next time on another edition of Shift Break, from Keys to the Shop.